Prime Minister Narendra Modi's participation in the G7 summit in Kananaskis in Canada is more than just a diplomatic engagement. For India, it is a platform to recalibrate a strained relationship, also assert its strategic autonomy, and engage with global powers on its own terms. Most significantly, this marks Modi's first ever meeting at a summit level with newly elected Canadian Prime Minister Carney. A moment which many are hoping could signal a thaw in the frozen ties between New Delhi and Ottawa. India-Canada relations reached a historic low under former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. What was once a very cordial partnership descended into acrimony, primarily driven by a political clash between Trudeau and Mr. Modi. It was political posturing on the part of Trudeau. There were divergent views between India and Canada on what was a crucial national security issue for both countries. The tipping point came in 2023 when Justin Trudeau, in the floor of the Canadian Parliament, made the explosive claim that the Indian government's agents were involved in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a pro-Khalistani separatist on Canadian soil. India rejected those allegations outright, calling them absurd and politically motivated. The Indian government maintained that Canada had become a safe haven for separatists, extremists, and individuals who incite violence in Punjab, thousands of miles away.
There are credible reasons to believe that agents of the government of India were involved in the killing of a Canadian on Canadian soil. That is something of the utmost and foundational importance in a country of rule of law, in a world where international rules-based order matters. We have a rigorous and independent justice system and robust processes that will follow their course. And we call upon the government of India to engage with us to move forward on getting to the truth of this matter.
The single event catalyzed a tit-for-tat diplomatic spat between Delhi and Ottawa. There were expulsions of diplomats, the trade talks had stalled, there was a complete breakdown in diplomacy between India and Canada. Trudeau's public posturing and indulgence of the fringe Sikh separatist elements struck a raw nerve here in India. India views the Khalistan movement not just as a security threat, but an attack on India's sovereignty. In comes Carney, who is the former Bank of England and Bank of Canada governor, now turned Canadian Prime Minister. He represents a stark contrast from Trudeau in both style and substance. His technocratic, centrist approach to governance may potentially open the door to a quieter but more constructive bilateral relationship with India. Both countries are keen to explore whether this summit can be the launching pad for a reset in ties. According to a recent Bloomberg report, India and Canada are on the verge of signing a new intelligence sharing agreement. That's a significant move which reflects mutual recognition of the need to address long-standing irritants in the relationship. That report said, and I quote, "Indian officials are hopeful that this pact will lead to more serious action by Ottawa against separatist elements that are operating from Canadian soil. This would be a vital first step in rebuilding trust and bridging the gap that widened in the previous tenure." India has long argued that freedom of expression cannot be used or cannot be extended to the point of condoning or abetting violence against a foreign state. New Delhi is hoping that under Carney, Canada will adopt a firmer stance when it comes to Khalistani networks, particularly those who are known to be engaged in online radicalization and mobilization of the diaspora for a separatist cause. Carney, for his part, has made the right noises. He has said that he wants to build better ties with India.
What is your message then to Canadians who are a bit disturbed or wondering why Mr. Modi is being invited to Canada when there is this legal process that has not cleared him and his governments of involvement in the death of a Canadian on Canadian soil?
My message is that we're a country of the rule of law. The rule of law is proceeding as it should in Canada, and I am not going to disrupt that process.
Beyond the Canada reset, all eyes will also be on whether Prime Minister Modi and US President Donald Trump will meet on the sidelines of the G7. This would be, if it happens, their first face-to-face interaction since the recent military standoff between India and Pakistan. That, of course, was triggered by the cross-border terror strikes and subsequent Indian military action which took out major Pakistani air bases. Trump, characteristically, has claimed credit for brokering the ceasefire between the two nuclear-armed neighbors, India and Pakistan. Indian officials, though, have categorically denied any third-party mediation. They say that the de-escalation was the result of direct military talks between the DGMOs of both countries. But Trump continues to insist on his role.
I think the deal I'm most proud of is the fact that we're dealing with India, we're dealing with Pakistan, and we were able to stop potentially a nuclear war through trade as opposed through bullets. You know, normally they do it through bullets, we do it through trade. So I'm very proud of that. Nobody talks about it, but we had a very nasty potential war going on between Pakistan and India. And now if you look, they're doing fine.
A Modi-Trump meeting, if it happens, is likely going to be cordial but nuanced. While personal chemistry between both leaders remains strong, Delhi is also aware of Trump's rather unpredictable foreign policy. Nevertheless, such a conversation could reinforce the importance of both countries to strategic cooperation, particularly when it comes to Indo-Pacific stability. Before arriving in Canada, Prime Minister Modi made a quick stopover in a strategically significant country named Cyprus. While the visit itself was the first by an Indian Prime Minister in more than 20 years, it carries immense geopolitical weight. Turkey is a staunch backer of Pakistan, including in the recent India-Pakistan flare-up. It has often aligned itself with narratives that are detrimental to India's interests. Cyprus is embroiled in its own long-standing territorial and political dispute with Turkey over its invasion of North Cyprus. Cyprus has maintained traditionally warm ties with India. Modi's stopover in Cyprus sends a subtle but very firm signal to Turkey. India is willing to strengthen ties with countries that share concerns about Turkish expansionism and Islamist radicalism under Turkish President Erdogan. Cyprus, for its part, has been a steadfast supporter of India on issues whether it's Kashmir or cross-border terrorism or even United Nations reforms. With Cyprus all set to assume the rotating presidency of the European Union Council in 2026, deeper engagement with Nicosia could yield dividends for India's broader European ambitions. Energy, maritime connectivity, and support for the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, or IMEC, are all part of the agenda. Even though India is not a G7 member, India's presence as an invited partner reflects its growing weight in global affairs. At the summit, Modi is expected to pitch India as the voice of the global south, particularly in areas like climate financing, digital infrastructure, and sustainable development. The summit will also highlight energy security and particularly focus on reducing rare earth dependencies on certain geographies, i.e. China. Modi will also likely emphasize India's role as a responsible democracy that is committed to multilateralism and a rules-based order. That's a stand that will resonate well with the G7's priorities.